What's up, everybody? It's Carpo here. I feel like it's time to make another one of these videos. And I make a video about chemtrails about once every few months, and I just can't seem to escape from people that have these crazy notions that I'm a shill. And okay, so I find it almost humorous. My last chemtrail video I made was to say that I basically am disputing chemtrails, that I know that they exist, but that they're only used in certain zones and for battle testing, whatnot, wherever they use them. The fact is that every trail you see in the sky is not a chemtrail. And I'll always get people to come to the video and vote it down, but they never post a comment. And so I continue to post these videos in hopes that at least one person, just one person, will type a full-length, rational paragraph comment explaining to me why I'm not seeing, or what I'm not seeing, because I try to be balanced and fair. Now, I was never sure if they existed. I used to be a chemtrail believer. I was always worried when I looked up and saw trails in the sky. And then I started doing my homework on it, and checking out my local atmospheric conditions, and finding it was generally a bunch of BS. So, with that said, I have my last chemtrail video was a few weeks ago, and every once in a while I'll get a comment on there, and half the time it'll be somebody that says something to the effect of, yeah, thank you for, the only long descriptions I get are long paragraphs for people who are saying thank you for trying to explain to people that, that this isn't true, there's a lot of fear over nothing, and this and that. Then there will always be one person who's a chemtrail believer who pops in and decides to say something witty. For example, the comment I got today was, some person came on there and said, she said, actually, neither the planes or the chemicals, or she said neither the planes or the trails are real. They're both holograms. They're both fake. And she said, just YouTube fake plane orb UFO chemtrail. So I responded back and I said, I explained that digital artifacts and digital cameras, which is an issue I want to cover here, can lead to a lot of strange things that appear to be on camera but really aren't. And I said, I've looked into the videos that you're talking about, and most of them, every one I found, is usually biased and really has no real evidence, but I have looked into it. And so what's the response comment? Defo a shill. Not even definitely a shill, or you're a shill, or anything like that, or an explanation to why I'm wrong, but just defo a shill. So I find that tends to be kind of the position of a lot of people who want to believe something so badly that they're willing to call people a shill because they've heard everybody else call people a shill. And it seems like there's this whole group of people falling into this bullshit conspiracy group that is always in fear, and when you call them out on it, all they do is yell and curse at you. And this isn't just one or two people, this is a large amount of people. It seems like every single person I've ever confronted who believes these things cannot have a rational discussion about it, can never present any real evidence or anything. In fact, in the chemtrail video, I never, say, if you believe this, you're an idiot or you're a dumbass. I say, hey, there's a possibility that some of them could be, and there's I just need more evidence beyond the what in the world are they spraying and why in the world are they spraying documentaries which have proven to have some flawed information. So, that being said, I had to ask, do you even know what a shill is? Because it's such a pathetic word to use for people who have who are making channels dedicated to, if they have one specific, let's say, goal in mind, they may be a shill. A shill has nothing to do with lying. A shill is a person who works for a company and poses as a customer for that company, or should I say poses as, a customer for that company, but is really an employee, and gets other customers to buy. Kind of like a secret shopper in a way, and there are many different forms of this. But a shill is usually paid for his services and has a goal in mind. A shill has a point. They're trying to promote a particular point of view. Now, you could extend that to say that a person who is speaking against chemtrails is getting paid, but what government's going to pay a person just to have a random video opposed to chemtrails? If someone had a whole bunch of movies made about it, and they had all this funding and unlimited, resources to prove that everybody's wrong, then maybe they're a shill. Maybe they are paid by the corporations. Who knows? But people need to learn to pick up a dictionary and look up a definition of a word before they start using it. I mean, I'm most definitely not a shill. Obviously, anybody who knows me knows that I'm just a guy speaking random shit on videos, But it doesn't bother me or irritate me when people say things like that at all, not in the least. I just feel sorry for them. I feel like I want people to be able to present a rational discussion. Like, I'm almost desperate for someone to come up with a new piece of evidence so I can see where people are coming from. But the more I look into some of these theories, and there's a lot of them, it's not just chemtrails. I mean, like the one I talked about the other day, there's a bunch of non-moon people that believe the moon doesn't exist. These are non-moon believers. There are still flat earthers out there who believe the earth is flat, and offer money if you can prove that it's not. And it's what it is it's I see it as almost like an addiction to something different, to something extreme, something underground. The desire to believe that someone's always trying to pull the wool over your eyes, because then you can always be on the defense and not have to have justification for it, the way you behave. But these same folks who respond to videos like this, like I said, most of my people that I subscribe to and that subscribe to me, we can hold good discussions and they'll make good points, and I'll be like, hey, you're right, maybe I should have thought that through more. Every time I make a video about something controversial, like chemtrails, or if I dispute the moon exists, or it may actually exist, or say promote the fact that the moon exists, I'll get a bunch of thumbs down. And like I said, I don't care if I get thumbs down on the video, but what it does is it shows that there's a certain element that are seeking out these things. A group of people who wake up every morning and go onto YouTube, and the first thing they type in is chemtrails, new evidence or something, and then they'll go for the last day or the last week and they want to know all the new videos about chemtrails, and then they find one that's by me that says, hey, I don't know, but I'd like to know more about it and see if there's any real evidence. And they just bat you down, Nope, I'm just going to vote you down. I'm not going to make a comment. I'm not going to respond. Why? Because I have absolutely nothing to say. But this guy's wrong because he's countering what I believe. And, I've pissed people off in the past by trying to just be honest. Like, hey, look this through. Think about this. Not everything is as it seems. I mean, the moon was a good example. A person got really angry and cussed me out because I questioned whether his idea that the moon was a hologram was true. So there are too many factors, and the tides and everything else, but there's still a possibility, but the possibility is so small it's not worth considering. It's not worth putting time into, because the evidence just doesn't fit. Because you could extend it to say, hey, the world is an illusion. Maybe it is, if you consider quantum non-locality, quantum tunneling, and the atomic structure of everything and matter and empty space and electrons exchange. Yeah, nothing exists. Everything is an illusion. But I guess, we could be putting our energy into things that are true. So when I see something that's not true and people are falling for it, it's easy to say, well, let them be suckered in. But I don't like to see people suckered. I like to see people see the truth. And a lot of these folks who believe these chemtrail stories and stuff are young or misguided or stuck in a group of people who are what we call an echo chamber, which is a reinforcement tunnel. It's kind of like a church. You go to a church, everyone's going to reinforce your belief, and it's going to make you not in a bad way. I just mean that, Christians who live among Christians reinforce each other's belief. A Christian who lives among an entire tribe of atheists is maybe going to eventually, alter his belief system. That's how it is. We tend to, stick with the group. It's a herd mentality, unfortunately. Not always that way, but what happens is, here's the thing, people have these videos about say, the chemtrails, and they say that it's true, and they say, look at all the people that believe it and that support me, so it must be true. Well, that's herd mentality. But at the same time, they're arguing against everyone else's belief against them by saying, well, you guys are just following the masses. It's just herd mentality, blaming herd mentality. Cycles within cycles. And so, once again, I propose the challenge to anyone who can provide me with any new chemtrail evidence or anything beyond just saying the aluminum levels are higher in the crust or something. But most of all, this video is more to just say, hey people, stop calling people shills if you don't know what it means, and try to have a rational discussion, because if you want to get your point across, you have to do it in more than 3 or 4 words. You have to actually say something. So, namaste, and everyone have a great night.